everyone, and welcome back to the Coach Dave YouTube channel. We're going to take a look at this week's Gran Turismo daily races. We'll go through a lap guide in detail, slow it down, approach brake markers, accelerating markers, things like that, how you can improve your lap. And we're going to also have a look at some Delta data to see where I can improve on my own lap, which should hopefully help you as well. First up then is Daily Race A, and in Daily Race A we're going to Autopolis in Japan. We're doing the short circuit and we're in the Ferrari Testarossa, an absolute legend from Italy, and let me show you how to do the lap. So here we are at the start of the lap. We're going to head down toward turn number 1. We're in 4th gear right now. I want you to stay in 4th gear, okay, as we head down towards turn number 1. Now, we're actually braking really early. This Ferrari doesn't have very good brakes at all. Now, on the left-hand side, I've highlighted this orange square there, okay? You need to brake where I'm at now. So this is a distance marker. Sometimes when we talk about brake markers, you brake at them. This is before it. This is the distance you're judging. This is before the 100 board, which you'll see on chase cam in just a second. Now, when you brake, I want you to just drop 1 gear in this one, okay? Don't drop second gear. You can do second gear, but third gear gives you more stability. You can see the 100 board in the distance right there. So we're going to go hard on the brakes right now. Notice here, we'll drop to third gear. We're hitting the limiter a little bit, but now we come down. We're going to release the brakes and then turn in, okay? As we do that, let the car roll a little bit. We touch the inside curb and then we accelerate. We do a later turn in there, and the reason we do a later turn in is we want to use the weight of the Ferrari to get round the corner, okay? It's all about weight transition. So we stay to the left as long as possible, then turn in as we release the brakes. That allows the weight to transition in the car, you clip the curb, and then you go. Now, we're already accelerated towards the next corner. That's the end of sector 1 already here. And what we're going to use now is the 100 meter board on the left-hand side. And once again, we're braking just before we get to it. And you can see that right here, okay? So when you approach this corner, once again, you're going to do the exact same thing that you did at turn 1, okay? So you're going to drop to third gear. You're going to stay as far left as possible. And only when you start to release the brakes are you then going to turn in. And I want you to do a later turn in once again. Same situation here. You want to use the weight to your advantage. So that's what we're going to do right now, okay? We're going to drop down to third gear as we hit the brakes here. Stay to the left, stay to the left, stay to the left. We release the brakes and then let the car go into the corner. Notice I let the car roll a little bit. We get off the curb, then we start to accelerate. This next part of Autopolis, what we're going to do now is just dab the brakes. Just gradually slow the car down. We clip each curb here to make sure we're hitting every single apex. We accelerate a little bit here just to get a tiny bit of rotation. We then clip the curb and then continue on through. We're approaching the hairpin here at Autopolis. Now, for this one, you want to be as far left as possible. So on the previous left-hander, if you get the car rotated just a tiny bit more, just the tiniest bit, it will help massively for this hairpin, because the wider the angle, the less oversteer you're going to suffer on exit. I'm in the middle of the road right now, so it's okay. We're going to use the end of the curb that I've highlighted there on the right-hand side as your brake marker. And you're going to drop and stay in second gear, okay? Very easy to drop to first here and think it's the best way to do it. It's not. Second gear, best way to do this for stability reasons. So we hit the brakes here. We're turning towards the hairpin now. That's to stop the weight transition as we went through the corner. Let's say we let the car roll a little bit. Then we go 50% on throttle, then 100. If you go straight to 100%, the car is just going to wheel spin and you're just going to spin out left or right here. We continue on now and we head up to this long left-hander. Okay, this is a really difficult corner to get right, really hard. So we have this curb here on the right-hand side, okay? Now, we're going to lift off and turn in at the very start of this curb. This car likes to understeer. So if we turn in early, the weight's going to transition in the car nicely because we're not actually braking that hard either. We're going to transition the weight nicely and the car's going to turn in and just start to gradually understeer. But because it's loaded on the right side of the car, we should be able to get around that little bit easier. Watch what I do right now as I go into this corner. So we're going to trail brake a little bit, okay? So as we go into this corner then, we're going to accelerate a little bit, then trail brake. 50% down to around, what was that, 10%, and then we let the car roll. Now, I pointed out an accelerating marker. When they're available, I will always point this out for you, okay? So we have this marshal box. It's just gone past the inner barrier on the inside of this corner, okay? Just gone past. It's very visible now. So I start to accelerate. What I highly advise you do if you are struggling here is just let that marshal box get to the center of your screen before accelerating. Because I'm going to struggle on the exit here in terms of understeer because I'm really trying to push the limits of the car. So as you accelerate, hopefully you get a bit of oversteer. That will help you around a little bit better. But if you don't, you do really have to wait till that marshal box in the center of the screen. Look at me now. I'm on and off the throttle. I'm trying to adjust it to make sure I get round. Wait till that marshal box gets to the center of your screen, then start to accelerate. We're going to continue towards the last corner now, which is a hairpin once again. Critically with this one, though, if you're used to the normal layout of our top list, don't stay to the right-hand side, because I did that quite a few times when playing this morning. So the final brake marker, there's actually 2 that you can use. So we have the arrow on the left-hand side. I want you to brake just after the arrow leaves the screen on the left-hand side. If you're struggling with braking, brake as it hits the edge of your screen. On the right side, we have a marshal box. It's just before that hits the edge of your screen, okay? So that's 2 separate brake markers, and you're sort of braking in the middle of them, okay? Left and right side. But just pick one of them that you want to use, okay? And similar to the other corners, you want to brake in a straight line, release the brakes, and then we're going to let the car roll in the middle of the corner. But we are going to be trail braking quite a bit here because we really need to slow the car down. And we are dropping to second gear. Notice there we're aiming towards the corner a little bit now. Second gear, we're going to start to release the brakes, and we're going to let the car roll through this and carry as much speed as we can. Roll, roll, roll. The car then rotates. 50% throttle, and then 100. Be careful on the exit here. Very easy to get oversteer. Cut the corner if you need to, but be careful of the revs. This car, by the way, 7,000 RPM is the limit, so you really have to make sure you change gear when that red bar gets to the very end. That is a lap here in the Ferrari Testarossa. What we're going to do now is actually go into a fast lap then. So we're going to head towards someone. Remember, we're looking for the orange square on the left-hand side, okay? Not that one. Look for the one just for the 100 board. There it is. Brake just before you get to that third gear. Stay left as long as possible. Release brakes, turn in. Late apex, clip the curb, continue on through in third gear. Now we accelerate towards the next corner. We're doing the exact same technique that we just did at turn number 1. So over towards the left-hand side, just before the 100 board, we're going to hit the brakes, drop to third gear. As we start to release brakes, we'll turn in, let the car roll a little bit, then accelerate. Then we're going to just dab the brakes, just control the car through this section of the circuit as much as you can. You want to hit every curb here. Try and get as far left as possible. Aim in the middle of the road. End of the curve is your brake marker. Second gear. Release the brakes, let the car turn, and then start to accelerate. Be careful of power oversteer on the exit. Head over towards that right-hand side now. Looking for the start of the next curb. We're going to turn in, and then we're going to start to trail brake as we get towards the corner. Slow the car down. Marsh box in the center of your screen. Start to accelerate. Continue on through. Be careful of understeer on the exit. Just lift off a little bit if you need to. Head up towards the final corner. Head over towards the left-hand side. I'm going to use the arrow on the left. Not that one. The next one here. Just after that leaves the screen, we hit the brakes. Drop to second gear. Trail brake all the way into the corner. Really slow the car down. Release the brakes. Let the car roll a little bit. Half throttle, then full throttle. Straight over the curb. Continue towards the line. And that is a lap here at our top list. Well, let's have a look at the Delta and let's see what we can improve from the Delta app. So here we are in the Delta app, and I've loaded Suzu's lap, which is a reference. Now, I'm actually 2 tenths quicker than Suzu, or just under that. So what we're actually going to do is identify where Suzu's losing time, and that might be where you're losing time as well. So we continue on through here, then start the lap. Nothing's really changing there as the app just levels it up here, and we get towards turn number 1. So we're coming here level, okay? We don't have to worry about anything. As we go into this corner, it's still level. And on the exit, it's pretty much level. We do the exact same here in turn number 1. There's no real change in speed there. Mid-corner, a little bit potentially there, but on the exit, it's even Steven. So we can continue on here towards the next corner. As we get to this next corner then, so we go through this first part. What's happening here? We gain a tiny bit there. We're just carrying that little bit more speed. So if you remember on this one in particular, I actually just lift off and let the car roll a little bit through this corner. And I'm actually carrying just that tiny bit more speed there, 4 miles an hour, give or take. So I'm just on the brakes that little bit less. Who brakes first as we go into here? So I am braking first. So there, slow in, fast out. The usual sort of speed thing that we do look at here. And then Suzu's going to go on throttle. Then it's carrying more speed towards the left-hander. I'm then carrying less speed through here. So I'm taking a tighter line, which is what I talked about here, because I want to actually set myself up for the hairpin here. And that's critical, in my opinion, is the hairpin. So as we go into here then, we're about even at this moment in time. As we come into here, maybe it's just a little bit ahead. Oh, no, it's even. It's even. I'm a little bit ahead there. But as we go through here, I leave 1.5 tenths up there. So because I set myself up in the first part here, getting this first part right, it actually helped me for the entire rest of this one. Slightly tighter line, which meant that I took a better line through here. Notice on the exit there, you can just see the yellow lines. Suzu is wider. I'm on the inside, and I'm able to carry a bit more speed. I'm actually 2 miles an hour up on Suzu there on the exit. And that's all because I just got out of the corner just that little bit earlier, less turning, etc. We're going to continue on towards the fast left-hander. And as we go into here, so we're 1.5 tenths different. As we go through here, wow, that changes quite massively. In fact, you can see that on the apex speed here. 87 versus 82. And again, that's because I was a bit aggressive on entry here, really, in terms of accelerating. So you'll notice here that Suitsu's braking. I'm still accelerating at this moment in time. So that's where I'm gaining a little bit. And then I brake a bit more aggressively mid-corner. Suitsu then gets on throttle that tiny bit earlier here, which does bring that little bit back towards Suitsu as we head up towards the next corner. And as we go into here, nothing really changed. So the big area of, big area of concern here is the hairpin. And arguably that is where I found it when I was doing practice this morning, because it's very easy to oversteer on this hairpin. We're obviously seeing here that the better line into the hairpin actually gives you the better exit, which is exactly what you're after and where a lot of this time is gained. So maybe you should focus on that particular set of corners when doing a lap here at Autopolis. We're going to jump to Daily Race B now, where we're going to head to Lego Maggiore, the full circuit, and we're in the GT by Citroen Group 4 car. Here we are then, and on the bottom right hand side you can see we've got +5 brake balance for those I want to copy my brake balance, and we're in the GT by Citroen just to confirm that, and that's the balance performance at the moment. We're going to head towards turn 1. We're on the right hand side here, and what we're actually looking for is on the left hand side. So I use this blue van. It's always there. I use this as a brake marker in every single class. So as that disappears off the edge of my screen on the left hand side, I'm going to hit the brake. So it's after it disappears, okay? Not at it, after it disappears. And what I'm going to do is brake all the way down to second gear. But as I get to second gear, I'm going to want to trail brake and start to turn it into the corner. Now, the corner, the curb on the inside is quite big and it is a bit bouncy, but on the Citroen, it can handle the bounce absolutely fine. So you can actually cut this quite a lot. Not sure I cut it that much in this particular lap though. But as we get to second gear, notice there we're going to start to trail brake and get the car in. We clip the inside curb. As I say, you can really mount it in the Citroen, so don't worry about mounting it too much and really cutting it. And what we're going to go into is our next brake marker. On the right hand side, but it is white. There is the painted grass. The end of that is your brake marker for this hairpin. Now, the further left you are, which is why I was talking about cutting, the better angle you have to attack the hairpin. So I'm in an okay area here. If I was further right, I'd really start to struggle and really have to slow the car down. I want to stay in second gear for the hairpin. Now, in other cars, you will want to drop to first gear. I tried it in the Honda NSX, and that was a first gear corner. In the Citroen, no, it's second gear. Notice there with trail brake. We really want to keep it nice and tight now, really on the curb. I started to accelerate there just to get a tiny bit of rotation, so it's around 60% throttle. It got a bit of rotation, and then I went full throttle when the car settled itself. I head over towards the right hand side now, and then we're going to turn in. Okay, we're heading towards this curb, and we're going to want to lift off a little bit now just to make sure the car does turn into the curb. And we want to keep heading towards the left hand side, keep going to the left edge. Now on the right hand side, we have an orange painted barrier which goes into a green barrier there on the right hand side. This is your brake marker, okay? So as that hits the edge of your screen, you're going to hit the brakes. Now, this corner is all about momentum. I'm actually going to abuse a little bit of track limits on the exit as well here. You don't have to do this. It doesn't really gain me any time. But what it does do is it stops me oversteering, getting power oversteer on the exit, because it's just going to get the car a little bit light because we're going to about to head downhill. So if we straighten up the steering, the car can just think about going straight rather than turning. So we trail brake into here then. We're in third gear right now. Notice as we release the brakes, the car turns more, and then we start to accelerate through once we hit that curb. Now, as you're seeing here, I'm straightening up quite quickly just to use all of that tarmac on the exit. You're allowed to use that. Then we come back on the circuit before it ends, and we don't get dirt on our tyres either. We can head down here now, and that will be the end of Sector 1. Now, interestingly, the end of Sector 1 is your brake marker for Sector 2 if you want to use sound as a brake marker, which is really interesting. However, I don't use sound. I use what is currently under my face, but you can see the long length of it. There's a big concrete thing on the left-hand side. Use that as the brake marker, the end of that. Alternatively, I have the drainage on the left-hand side in the white area there. Either of these are really good brake markers. Now, what I want you to do here is, because you're going round a right-hander, I need you to turn a bit more to the right before you go on the brakes. Because if you just brake now 100%, you're going to go off in the grass there. So turn a little bit, go on the brakes, and then start to release the brakes as you get closer to the edge again. So that's what I do here. And notice I start to release it. I go to third gear. I then release the brakes completely. The car likes to turn in them because he goes, okay, I can actually do that now. I'll stop braking, and then I accelerate through the corner. It's critical you do accelerate through the corner. You may suffer some power oversteer on the exit. Just be careful of that. But you have to accelerate through. You're going uphill right now. The Group 4 class has had a reduction in power, so it's all about trying to maximize your speed now in low horsepower cars, because that's what effectively we are in right now. So we approach the S's here, and on the left-hand side, we have this catch fence, okay, on the far left there. It's just above my head right now. Really good brake marker this. So what I want you to do is, as that leaves the screen, I want you to hit the brakes and turn in. in the Citroen, what you'll find is the car will like to oversteer, but the oversteer is good. Now, if you get a lot of oversteer, just turn into it, it'll be absolutely fine. If you get a little bit of oversteer, that's the perfect amount, because what you want to do is just get rotation for you to be able to cut the inside of this corner. The whole idea of the S's here is you want to straight line most of it as much as possible to carry the speed on the long back straight that's coming up there. Notice we get turning now, cutting a lot of the inside. We get through here, we want to straighten up now and head towards the right hand side. Notice how much of the track we're cutting here, and I'll just pause it here as well. We have the curb there, okay, the red and white curbing, and then we've got the concrete bit. The concrete bit is actually track limits, so you can actually go a bit further to the right than even I am now and not get a penalty. The critical thing, though, is as you get towards the end of this, you need to make sure you're back on the circuit, because otherwise you will get a track limit penalty. And you'll see that I'm absolutely survived this, no problemo. So we continue on now. We're going to turn left now as we get towards this point. And once again, we can cut a lot of this as we go through that left-hander. Just staying on the concrete there, and we continue on. Just be careful of understeer, and we'll just go to 100% speed now, just because it's a straight. We all know what we're doing here as we approach the end of Sector 2 there. You can see my Delta down below as well if you're struggling in-game, wondering what I'm getting. You can see that down below, but we're going to jump to the Delta app a little bit later on. We're slowing down this lap once again to 50% as we approach Banky Boy. Now, there's a few markers you can use here on your lap. So we've passed the 50 board. If you really want to use that, you can do. It's just gone off the top of my screen. But I use the end of the wall on the left-hand side. Really good marker this, because just after I get to the end of it, I can hit the brakes. Critical for this corner is you don't brake too late. It's all about carrying momentum on the exit. So you want to go slow in, fast out. You go in too deep here, you're going to struggle all the way up the hill as you head towards the end of this lap. So, slow in, fast out. Use the end of that not pit wall, just the end of the wall left-hand side. Hard on the brakes. We're going to release the brakes now. Go really much on the inside. It's a very cambered corner, so you really want to get on the inside as much as possible. Then accelerate through. And look at that uphill section. If you are not carrying the momentum through on this corner, you are going to struggle massively on time. And once again, we'll have a look at the Delta app to see if we're losing time against any of the reference laps there, just to see if we need to improve there a little bit more, or whether they need to improve there a little bit more. Will be interesting, and that's the critical and nice part about the Delta app. We're going to continue on now, 50%, as we head towards the final part of the lap. Now, on the left-hand side, we have a catch fence in the 50 board. You can use that as a marker if you want to. It's more of a distance marker, like I talked about in Daily Race A. However, on the right-hand side, I highlight a gap there. It's in the trees. It's very obvious when you're racing. Now, I use that. Some people don't like this, and I apologize if you don't like this, but I really use that in all categories. It's amazing. So as the gap gets to the edge of my screen, I hit the brakes, and then I'm going to trail brake all the way into the corner. I really want to carry the speed into this corner. It's a double apex corner. Consider it like Spoon in Suzuka. In, out, in. That's all you're doing here. So notice there, we're trail braking all the way in. We clip the curb. We're going to accelerate a little bit now towards the outside. Okay, we're going to go just off the curb here. It's a double width curb, which is going to go back to a single width that I've highlighted right here. You need to start turning back into the second apex before the end of this, and critically you want your right tires to be on the right hand side, so on the single part of the curb, and you want your left tires to not be touching the end of the double width curb. Quite complicated, I know. You will get used to it as you drive around. But if you do that, the car will just continue on driving around nicely. If your left tires hit the edge of the second curb, what will happen is it'll bounce and it'll go all a bit weird. Watch what I do right now. So I'm just trying to slow the car down a little bit by just letting the car roll through the corner. I'm then trying to carry a bit of speed by just going on and off the throttle to maintain the average speed through the corner. But now we can accelerate out of the corner. We're going to straddle the sausage curb there on the left-hand side a little bit. Make sure you don't hit that square on. It'll send you flying. And now we can continue towards the final corner. So for this one, we've got two brake markers. On the left-hand side, we have the bullet sign. There's three of them. This is the last one. I use that. So as that disappears off the edge of my screen, I'm going to just dab the brakes, chuck the car in, and try and cut as much of the inside. Alternatively, if you want to use one on the right-hand side, I highly advise you don't. You should be looking where you want to go, so the left-hand side's better. But I have highlighted there that you have the black sign on the right-hand side. So I'd say when the bullet has disappeared off the left-hand side of my screen, I'm going to dab the brakes and chuck it in. And I really want to try and carry as much speed as possible, but get as much rotation. So quite aggressive turning. We'll transition the weight quite quickly. Notice we get the rotation initially. We're trying to cut as much of the inside as possible. We've got a big old curve there. We then accelerate through. You can use the tarmac on the outside right here. So just aim for that then to straighten up the car. over the white line is absolutely fine here in terms of a lap. I'm going to head towards the line now, and that's going to be the end of the lap. That's a 206.5. We're going to go into a Martin Brundle style lap now as we head towards turn 1. Blue van there, and hard on the brake, second gear. Cut the inside curb here in the Citroen. Accelerate a little bit, end of the white stuff there. We hit the brakes right on the inside. Keep it nice and tight. A little bit of throttle, then full throttle once it's stable. Head over towards the right hand side. Then we're going to turn in. We're going to have to lift off a little bit to make sure the car does get that turn in nicely. Want as much of an angle as we can on this right hander. Orange to green there. We trail brake in, clip the curb, and use all of the track now on the exit. All of it, and then some there. Come back on the circuit before that curb ends. Head down here. Remember, we're looking for the end of the concrete on the left hand side. Where's that concrete? Here it is. Look at it on the left hand side, end of the concrete. Hard on the brakes. We're going to trail brake now a little bit in here. We need to clip the curb. Once we clip it, accelerate through, carry the momentum up the hill. Head over towards that right hand side now. Looking for the catch fence on the left hand side. Okay, the end of it. Where is it? There it is. Dab the brakes, chuck it in. Hopefully get some rotation. Cut the inside, accelerate a little bit now. Cut a lot of the right. Straighten up, over towards the left hand side. Cut in as you go through the S's, and you'll be absolutely fine on this lap. You can now chill a little bit as you head towards Banky Boy and the second part of the lap, and hopefully you're doing very well indeed. So remember, we're looking at the wall on the left hand side. Looking for the end of the wall here. It's all about slowing fast out at Banky Boy. Make sure you focus on this. There's the end of the wall. Hit the brakes. Third gear. Release the brakes. Turn in. Use all of the inside. Start to accelerate through. Carry as much speed as you can through that corner. Look at this uphill section. You have to carry as much speed as possible. Over towards the left hand side now. This is flat out. We're going to go over towards the right hand side now. Cut a little bit of the inside as well. This is flat out. And what I'm looking for now is the gap in the trees on the right hand side. Where is it? There it is. Dab the brakes, trail brake all the way in. Clip the curb. Start to accelerate out now. And what we're going to do is then lift off at the end of the double curb. Let it come in nicely. We clip the inside curb. Accelerate through. Straddle the sausage. We're going to head out towards the outside of the circuit. Look at these bullet signs here. The last one is what we're looking for. As it hits the edge of the screen, dab the brakes, chuck it in. Cut the inside of the curb. Accelerate towards the outside now, in towards the tarmac, and head towards the line here, and we're going to head towards there. 206.5. Well, let's have a look at the Delta app and let's see where we can improve. Once again, I've loaded Suzu's lap for reference. Now we're very close here. We are literally 13 thousandths different. So hopefully we're going to see some strengths in my lap and also in Suzu's lap in the Delta app. Let's head through this lap now, heading towards turn number 1. So we look like we are we early on the brakes? Yes, we no, we are early on the brakes. Sorry, we are earlier on the brakes. We lose a little bit of time straight away into that corner, going through here, and we lose out on the exit. So we just need to brake a tiny bit later. Although I could have seen that as I went through the lap. So we head towards the right hander here, and I'm a little bit down, but we leave there ahead. And if you notice here, critically, it's because I use more of the circuit than Suzu, because it is available to me. We play to the game's limits here, and the game allows me to do this, a bit like at Nürburgring at the end of the Mercedes-Benz arena. Similar situation, I'm allowed to use that so I can carry more of the speed. And critically, it is a massive amount difference here. We are talking about 2 miles an hour at points there. Yes, indeed. So 2 miles an hour at points. So it's significant that I'm carrying that speed, because look at that. It's just a huge advantage by the end of this straight. Right, we're going to sector 2 then, and nothing much has changed there. We go through the S's, and we do lose out a little bit here in terms of speed. We are literally losing speed down the straight. Now, what is causing that issue? Do we change? Oh, very interesting here then. So we need to short shift is the answer to this question. So it's always good when you do stuff like this. So Suzu goes to 6th gear here. Notice I'm ahead. And then as we get onto the straight here, I'm losing time for that moment there. So I'll lose like half a tenth going down the straight because I'm not short shifting. I need to short shift a little bit earlier here. Seems that I'm over revving the Citroen, which is critical and something for you to know. And that's how we've discovered it in the Delta app. This is what the app is literally for. Going through Banky Boy then, we lose a little bit of time there, and that's more going to be due to speed, I suspect. As we continue into here, let's have a look. No, not quite. We're carrying more speed, to be fair. We are carrying more speed. It's going to be short shifting again, isn't it? I imagine. It definitely catches up to me there. So that's really interesting that I need to actually short shift a bit more. Going to go into the double right hander here. So we go into this one and come back out. So yeah, we are benefiting there. We can carry so much more speed through that corner. And we're going to head to the line then at that point. So we're very close on the lap. I gain at times and I lose at times as well. Critically for me, and this thing that I need to improve on, and something that you might need to improve on as well, is just short shifting that little bit earlier here in the Citroen. That's going to be it for Daily Race B then. What we're going to do now is head to Daily Race C, where we're at Willow Springs Big Willow, and we're in Group 3 machinery, and I chose the BMW M6. So here we are then in that BMW, and I'm using +5 brake balance for those that want to copy my brake balance. The balance performance that is on for this race there this week is down the bottom right as well. I'm going to head towards turn 1 then here, and I'm picking out 2 brake markers. Now, the one on the right, I just noticed when I was editing, and it's very well worth using because it's literally bang on the money. The one I'm actually using is on the left-hand side, okay? And it's the second to last pole on the fence on the left-hand side, which sounds really weird to say, but it's very obvious when you're driving. So literally, as I get to this pole and the pole hitting the edge of my screen, I'm going to hit the brakes. Now, you don't want to turn in too early for this corner. You want to stay out wide, come in, nice smooth line. The later the apex, the better the corner will be. Because if you turn in too early, you're going to run wide. Now, I'm actually going to run wide on this corner. You'll notice here, I'd turn in. And I've turned in a bit too early, in my opinion. Now, I go to 4th gear mid-corner. 3rd gear is to get the rotation. And you'll notice how wide I run here. Now, I lose a 1/10 of a second there quite easily. And we'll have a look at the Delta app to see exactly how much I lose versus Suitsu a little bit later on. So we've come out of that corner, we've gone to the left-hand side. We're now aiming towards this corner, and I'm still accelerating. So we have this marker on the right-hand side. This is my lift-off marker. It's not a brake marker, it's a lift-off. And in most cars, all you want to do is lift. Because all I want the car to do now is turn. I don't need to accelerate, I don't need to brake. Just let the car turn. Let the car do its thing going around this corner. It's a long, long, long right-hander. And if I can carry as much speed as possible, the less I do, the less impacted are the lap times, because guess what? Less can go wrong. I'm not braking or accelerating. Notice I'm just letting it roll at this moment in time. I'll tap the throttle a little bit there, just try and maintain speed, but that's human input. You don't have to do that. You know, you're just trying to improve your lap at this moment in time, not get on the leaderboards. Now, I've highlighted this tower in the distance. I think it's a radio tower. Somebody may correct me in the comments, of course. But literally, I'm looking for that. That's my accelerating marker. So it's come on the screen now, about a quarter of the way across, I'd say. And I've dropped to 3rd gear as well. Some of you may have picked up on the drop to 3rd gear. So when that comes on the screen, I start to accelerate. Now, when it gets to the center of your screen, you definitely should be accelerating. I've been quite aggressive here in terms of accelerating. Now, 3rd gear is to get the rotation. So notice here I'm at the top end of the RPM. The car's wanting to rotate a bit more. Because of that, I've then gone to 4th gear now. And literally, because of that extra rotation, I can accelerate round. Now, I had to lift off a little bit there because I was running a little bit wide. And that's where my aggression with the throttle came in, judging where that tower was. Now, we've got to the right-hand side of the circuit because we're approaching arguably the most complex part of Willow Springs here in terms of Big Willow. So I used the 50 board here. I'm braking just before it gets to that. You can see that quite clearly here. I've just hit the brakes right now. I'm about 60 off the corner, not 50. So as we come into here, I want to take a really late apex. So I'm going to stay out wide, okay, and then come in really late on. If you turn in too early here, you're going to run out wide and end up hitting the hill and spinning, doing all sorts of chaos. So you want to stay to the right-hand side, and watch what I do now. I'm staying to the right, still stay to the right. I then release the brakes, and the car starts to turn in. I then go on throttle. Now, I've gone over the curb a little bit there. The BMW can handle it. Other cars can't, so just be careful about actually clipping or going on the inside of some of these curbs. We go into this right-hander then. I've highlighted this curb here because depending on the line will depend on where you brake for this one. So if you take a really tight line like I'm doing now, you're going to have to brake quite early in there. So you're going to focus more on the start of the curb. If you take a more wide line in, so you've taken the left a bit slower, but you come in a bit hotter for the right then, so you've got a better angle, you might look at the end of the curb. The critical part of this is focus on the curb. Look at where you want to lift off and just dab the brakes a little bit. Here's what I'm going to do now. So it's all about slowing the car down gradually here, and once again, letting the car do its own thing. So dab the brakes twice, and then try to maintain speed. Once the car's got the turn in that I need, I start to accelerate. Be careful on the exit. There is going to be power oversteer. You're at the top end of the revs. The car's going downhill. There's even less weight over those rear wheels than normal, okay? Because you're going downhill, so you do have to be careful of that. Notice now I've gone into basically cutting the circuit a little bit. I've gone into the dirt here. And this is to maximize the angle of this corner. If you are struggling with this, don't do it because this can cause some spin. So I've highlighted the end of the curb here. Where you are on the track doesn't matter because you are going to use the end of the curb here as your brake marker. In the BMW, you can drop to 2nd gear and then short shift to 3rd on the exit. 2nd gear will give you that bit more rotation like we had earlier on, dropping to 3rd gear from 4th. You can stay in 3rd gear though, and if you do it perfectly, it's actually a little bit quicker. So notice how I turn in. I don't want to go over the curb. I want to get as close as possible. I then accelerate through the corner. I had a bit of belief in the car that it will stick and will get me round, but you do have to be careful there because if you do carry a bit too much speed, you are going to understeer off. So you do have to be careful on that one. I did a cracking lap before this one, and literally, I just clipped clipped the dirt and I went flying just because I carried that bit too much speed. But oh my word, it was an unbelievable lap. We're going to continue on now. We're going 100% here in terms of the lap, and we head towards the last corner. We've got the 250 board. We have the 200 board. The board we're looking for, though, is that 150 board, which is literally right above my head right now, okay? Now, when you get to this moment in time, this is where you want to say, okay, I just want to dab the brakes a little bit, and I want the car to carry the speed. Notice throughout this entire lap, we're trying to do as minimal inputs as possible to let the downforce in the car do its magic. That's the great thing about downforce. It's magic. You can't see it working. You just know it's working. There's the 150 board. Okay. So I'm just going to dab the brakes a little bit. You can drop to 4th gear if you want. I think it's slightly quicker to drop to 4th gear. But on this particular lap, I stayed in 5th because I was just trying it out. Notice here, I've not gone above 50% once on the braking. Dab the brakes. I'm now trying to maintain 130 miles an hour. I've just gone below that. As I come in here, notice that I'm trying to clip the inside. I've run a little bit wide there because I didn't get on the inside. You don't want to go over the curb, but I want to get closer to it. We continue on then and head towards the line. This is a 1:11.0. What we're going to do now, Martin Brundle style lap. So on the left hand side, second to last post, there it is. Hit the brakes, turn in, and we're going to short shift to 4th gear through the corner. Be careful about turning in too early, because that will happen. Over towards the left hand side, we have the marker on the right. So we're going to lift off at that moment in time. Let the car roll, do its thing. Where's the tower? There it is. Drop to 3rd gear, start accelerating. Up to 4th gear. Just lift off a little bit if you need to in terms of understeering off. Head over towards the right hand side. 50 board is on. That's brake marker just before the 50. Hit the brakes. Late apex now. Turning very late indeed. We clip the curb, accelerate through. Curb on the right. Then is your marker. Dab the brakes a bit again, and then start to accelerate when the car wants to turn in. Be careful of oversteer. Head over towards the right hand side. Cut the curb here. End of the curb is our brake marker. Turn in, and then continue on through. Believe in the car. The car will stick there as we head now onto this part here. And you've done most of the lap at this moment in time. However, this next corner is the one where you go, oh my word, I'm up on my time. Oh my word, what do I do now? What do I do now? Well, it's the only way you ruin your lap because you're so nervous. Right, so we're looking for the 150 board. Where is it? There it is. Never go above 50% braking. Notice there, we're tapping the brakes. Let the car do its thing. Once you get the turn in, start to accelerate through. As I say, 4th gear would have been a bit quicker there in the BMW M6 as we head towards the line. That's all you need to know for this lap. What I want to do now is jump into the Delta app because I want to see how much time I lost in turn number 1. I've loaded Suitsu's lap then here in Delta, and Suitsu is in the sprint model and I'm in the endurance model of the BMW M6. Now, there's very little difference between the two, if any. Some of it could be placebo, but I found the sprint model could just rotate the time a bit more, but then you've got risk of more spinning, and I always find the endurance model a bit more stable, but that could be just placebo. Generally, the bop is the same, the time's the same, the suspension setup is the same as well. What we're going to do now, though, is compare, because Suitsu's done a 0.9 and I'm on the 0.0, so we're 1/10 difference. Where is that 10th? Let's find out. It's what Delta is awesome for. So we'll continue on this lap here. I'll start the lap here as we head towards turn number 1. And as we go into this turn then, so sometimes with this Delta difference, it's just to do with replay footage only, so don't worry about it too much. But we're going to go into here. So we'll basically count that as 0 when it's 0.06. So we'll go into here then, and I lose a little bit there, a little bit. I didn't lose as much time as I thought I did, but you'll notice that the yellow line is much more on the inside because I did run wide there. And you can see Suitsu's actually carried 2 miles an hour more speed there. So that's all because I ran a little bit wide. So we're going to head up here, and we are losing time as we go into this corner. So as we go into here, Suitsu's still carrying more speed as we go into here. And notice that we're both doing the exact same thing. We've both just let the car do its own thing, do the work. And that's critical for this corner. I said it in the guide. You can see that quite clearly here. So you see now I've just gone on throttle at this moment in time. I'm actually now carrying more speed than Suitsu because of that. But remember, I did start to understeer through this corner. So we'll look at this as 1.5 tenths when I start to accelerate. And as we get towards the exit, we lose a bit of time because I had to lift. Look at this lift here. 16% versus 100%. And as we get towards the exit, Suitsu is 3 miles an hour quicker than me. 3. So I lose a significant amount of time there. So we've lost time in this corner, especially because we haven't carried the speed all the way through here, okay? And it's all because of that small little lift. So it's something to keep in mind here. We're going to continue on towards the complex section here at Willow Springs. So as we go into here then, 3 tenths as we initially go into there. So Suitsu carried a bit more speed in here. So I'm on the brakes. Suitsu's still accelerating. So Suitsu brakes a tiny bit later. So like gives him another tenth there. As we go through here into the right-hander, we're slowing the car down nicely. Speed-wise, we're about matching. Suitsu's a tiny bit up here by about 1 mile an hour. We get towards the exit. I'm now up. So slowing fast out has worked very well for me here because I'm starting to gain some of that time back as we head down here then. We're going to go onto the brakes through the left-hander. I really gain here. I nail this corner on this particular lap. Why do I nail this so much? I do not know. because at this moment in time, I'm 5 miles an hour difference. 5! That is massive as we go through there. So I gain a lot of time back there. I wonder if Suitsu's in a different gear. This is going to be of an interest to me. So as we come into here, yep, Suitsu drops to second gear. And I talked about that in the lap guide, okay? I said third is slightly quicker, second sort of guarantees more rotation. And that is critical here because Suitsu's gone to second gear to get the rotation to make sure he makes the corner. I've stayed in third and that gave me an advantage. Really interesting to see that. You can really see the difference on the chart as well. It's a massive difference. 5 miles an hour difference is huge there. So that's a place where Suitsu could improve the time just that little bit more. Going to head then towards the last corner here then, and as we get towards the last corner, so this is where I said Suitsu probably started the lap a little bit quicker than me. So as we go into here, we go through here and have a look at this one then. So 2/10 of a second. Suitsu's definitely carrying more speed right now, so I've hit the brakes a bit too early as we go through here, and then we exit. And to be fair, I have the better exit there. So I imagine Suitsu's gone a bit wide. I'm carrying more speed on the exit. So I'm actually starting the next lap a bit quicker than Suitsu. Suitsu's gone a bit aggressive in terms of speed. And that's critical, you know. We always talk about slowing fast out. You're seeing that right there. So I'm 145 versus 151. 6 miles an hour difference on the entry. But on the exit, I'm up. And arguably, at this moment in time, the exit is more critical because obviously it's a long straight then to the start-finish line. I'd be interested to see the gear change here. Yep, Suitsu drops to fourth, which I did talk about during the lap guide as well, because fourth gear just a little bit more helpful. But then obviously staying in fifth seems to have helped me on the exit with a slightly different line. But critically, we saw here then that, you know, third gear is slightly quicker than second through the downhill section there. But obviously, you're going to get a bit more of a risk of understeer, and what we saw as well is carrying the speed through this long right hander, letting the car do its own thing. Suitsu does that a little bit more. This is what's awesome about the Delta app. You know, you can really pinpoint where you need to improve the lap. So what I would do now is I would jump back on. I'm going to go focus on this right hander right here, sector 1. I'm just going to focus on this bit and improve my lap. I know what I'm doing in sector 2 because I just showed it and I do improve my time there, but I'm going to improve on this part. And then once I've done this bit, I'll focus on the last corner as well because there's a bit more speed on entry that I can probably take there, as we saw in the lap guide. That's why Delta's awesome. It's why I use it. I love it. It's just fantastic. It's a brilliant tool that I highly recommend you use. That's going to be it for this video, though. I do hope you have enjoyed this video. As always, if you have any comments with regards to this guide, do let us know down in the comments. Big thank you for watching, as always, here on the Coach Dave channel. And I'll be seeing you once again very soon for another set of weekly races. Good luck and have some fun.